and we go live. Well there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adults of all ages, and L-Man. We're here coming to you on Easter Sunday, and, you know, it's great to be back doing this again, even though we're probably going to stick to the 2-hour format, because this is something that, you know, the likes of X24 Rider and even Raiden has said, look, the 3-hour format is killing it. We need, and not killing it in a good way.
No,
you know, maybe it was time just to sort of bring it down just to a point where it's condensed, but it's not dragging on like the 8-hour shows that we used to do back in the day. I mean, we couldn't do that now.
Oh my god, we were so dumb.
That's like watching, you know, the 2018 Hall of Fame ceremony from, I mean, not being funny. I get that they, you know, want the wrestlers to tell the stories and what have you, but 4 hours was too long for Hall of Fame. And of course, you know, Oni going and saying, Goldberg, you say like my matches, this'll be quick. I timed your ass! And to be fair to Bill, he did go a while.
Of course he did.
And as for... Alright. First off, I was glad Ivory went into the Hall of Fame because undervalued, underrated, and underappreciated, but...
I mean, out of everyone in that back in that era, she was one of the best wrestlers. But unfortunately, you know, this is, you know, perverted mind was so focused on, you know. And if you get the mumbling, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But the fact that she treated the Hall of Fame ceremony as her wedding, I'm like, what? That was weird.
God damn.
Just as well, it wouldn't be like a Jerry Lawler wedding, which makes you wonder which one of those would be. No, wait. I'm confusing that with Ric Flair.
Yeah, I can listen. Ric Flair, I can deal with his Playboy lifestyle. That's the most natural thing I can give him. But Jerry,
oh boy,
King, oh god, I would not be invited to that damn wedding.
Oh,
that dude goes to places that I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to, especially when I watch a lot of old school WWE. Ugh, he's so much. Okay, I know we're going off topic here, but bro, I'm just gonna say it right here, right now. I never was a fan of King's commentary.
Fair enough.
He was a massive distraction. I mean, God bless JR for trying to get the control back, because he's just going to perverted places. I'm just like, dog, focus on the match. We get it. You want to make love to all of the girls you see, but not in a fucking wrestling match. Like, come on, man, keep that shit to yourself. All right, I'm done.
And of course, you go and say that. It makes me wonder how much of his reactions was scripted or real whenever it came to bra and panty matches.
Oh god. Oh god. That was one of his worst.
Let's be honest here. While nowadays the idea of a bra and panty match would be like, no. Just be grateful McMahon never instigated the idea of a nude match.
Woo! Oh wait. Okay. I'm just gonna be fair. There has been an organization that has did an event where lady wrestlers. Don't look at me that way. Lady Wrestlers has done that, and from what I've heard, after that, their reparations bad, aka they want the money, and
From what I
yeah, that actually happened.
From what I remember hearing, I'm not 100% sure on the details, but I remember hearing that Tammy Lynch Cinch wanted and I quote, a sex match with Beth Phoenix.
What?
That's what I heard. Yep. I may be completely wrong on the details.
You know what? To be honest, the way her has been crazy over the years, I would not put it past her.
And the amount of DUI she's done.
Yeah, I heard about that. And let's not forget about the past. Like, remember a couple of years back when Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels was feuding? Shawn mentioned something that Bret said he was experiencing sunny days, and I'm using air quotes here.
Yep. That's when kayfabe was being broken.
But I doubt Bret would do anything with Sunny, and let's be honest. Shawn back in the day was the biggest prick at that stage.
Oh yeah.
And we all know he and Sunny did a little
From what I heard, he tried to get on with Pamela Anderson as well.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard that.
Funny thing. It wasn't just his immature antics. Rumor has it that when he cut this promo at the UK One Night Only event when he would face British Bulldog for the European title, because that was also the night he first coined the term Grand Slam Champion. It said he was as high as a kite on coke.
I would not put it past him.
Shawn in those days,
woo,
he did anything and everything.
Yeah, he definitely fucked up a lot of pushes. Like, for example, I think it was like 95 or 96 SummerSlam. Yeah, he talked shit about Vader, about him being too stiff. Like, motherfucker, he worked in Japan, so what do you expect? Also, like, yeah, he was like I said, he was a little shit backstage. He did whatever it took to be like on top. He didn't care who he pissed off as long as he's on top.
Just ask Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
And of course, he kind of screwed over Triple H with the curtain call. Granted, Triple H was part of that, but Triple H was the one who ate that.
He did. Trust me. I watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode of the Montreal Screwjob. Check that out. There's also confidential episodes that speak to that, but still, yeah, Shawn, oof. even Jim Cornette, and yes, we all know how Jim Cornette is, but he was absolutely right. Shawn was an asshole backstage.
Because it was actually Shawn's idea to do the screw job, because Vince wasn't sure of how to get the belt off of Bret, because for the last 30 days...
I think it was more of a joint effort by Cornet and Russo, and y'all know they each other. Mainly Cornet. He said it himself. Man. Whenever Russo dies, if Cornet's disabled, he will piss on that man's grave.
This is where I need to be that guy a minute. I get that Cornet will never have anything nice to say about Russo. Russo, I'm indifferent. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's just doing what he's doing at the moment just to pay the bills and what have you. if he doesn't like Russo that much, then just get away from it. Wait a minute,
Dude, this is Cornet we're talking about, dog.
I know.
He will never, ever let you go. Trust.
Sounds like Oni at one stage. Because to be fair, Lids, we did tell him for the longest time, dude, give it up with TNA. Seriously, you need to let this go.
I think he's moved on from TNA at this point. He actually compliments them more now.
Yeah, he definitely has. Hell, me and him will not impact wise. Like, we definitely talk like understanding people, especially with, I don't know, what was the last? I think it was something about AW or something like that. I'm gonna have to check. Hold on.
AEW's his new
punching bag.
New punching bag, essentially. Yes. To some degree, he has his points, but to some degree, it's like, honey, let it go.
But Lydia, I like to give in to the hate. Oni, you're not the Emperor from Star Wars. The Force is strong with this one. Lydia, execute Order 66. No!
No! None of that! Shame on you!
But what if I dress up as a cuddly teddy bear for you? Raiden,
I don't want to see.
Raiden, would you like to cuddle the teddy Oni? Go away!
No! Please, no.
Would anybody like to cuddle the teddy bear, Elman? No, no.
No!
As long as it's Heath Slater.
Ooh, can I be the Heath Slater cuddly toy? Ooh, I can cuddle myself. Elman, go into a room. Right you are.
Oh, God.
He's probably listening to this at some point. It's like, MJ, why are you stealing all my dirty ideas? Well, because with Elman, you can read him like a book.
Yes.
Elman, what? Heath Slater. Hallelujah. Whereas, for Raiden, you just say, okay, Tatiana Ali's cloned herself. Excuse me, guys.
What? Okay, I'm gonna go.
It's like, excuse me, guys, I'll stuff it. I'm gonna need 2 weeks.
Yes.
and
don't worry. Don't worry. I'll come. Don't worry. I'll come up for air later.
And just for Lydia, Eliza Dushku's cloned herself. She's like, hey, how you doing? Lydia, can I clone myself? No, one's enough.
Oh God, no, God, dude.
Yeah.
An Oni clone will be the end of the world.
Well, imagine that, Lydia. I can play with myself on PlayStation. Oni, never say that again.
Please.
He's listening to this somewhere. It's like, I hate you, MJ. But then again, could be worse. You could have a clone of the L-Man army.
Oh man.
And that's
lock your damn doors.
Yes, indeed. Mind you, on a somewhat subject of wrestling, comicbook.com's published what they believe to be the greatest WrestleMania main events. Now, keep in mind, these are subject to their own viewpoint. So, your mileage may vary, but at the very least, I'm going to humor them. This year's WrestleMania will have a giant main event as Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan all fight to see who will become the Universal Champion when the biggest event of the year for WWE takes place. So we decided to look into the past of the annual event to highlight the best and brightest when it comes to the main events. Since WrestleMania first appeared in 1985 with Hulk Hogan, Oney's favourite wrestler, and Mr. T being featured in the main event at Madison Square Garden, it has easily been the biggest wrestling event of the year for the WWE and others. What is your favourite main event from WrestleMania past? Feel free to let us know in the comments or hit me up directly on Twitter at EV Comedy to talk all things comics, anime, and the world of professional wrestling. Their first listing is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3. Touted as one of the biggest events for the World Wrestling Federation, this main event for WrestleMania effectively felt like the passing of the torch from Andre to Hogan, with the Hulkster doing the impossible and managing to body slam the Giant. This match was also thought as one of the two biggest of Andre's career, with the Giant passing away years later. Though there had been two WrestleManias prior to this one, this was the main event that helped put the event on the map.
Good one. Really good one.
As impressive as the spectacle was of Hogan body slamming Andre, let's call this for what this is. The match that stole the show that night was Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage for the Intercontinental title. That was the best match on the card.
Also, before this, Andre has been body slammed before a couple years, or like twice, especially in Japan. So I guess anything in WWE world is like considered huge, even though it was a big thing. But you know, back nowadays,
Yeah. Next one, WrestleMania Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Much like Hogan's match against the Giant, this battle between the two most popular wrestlers at the time was white hot in the world of the World Wrestling Federation. It also happened to give us one of the most bonkers promos from the Warrior himself prior to the match itself, in which the makeup-laden brawler implored Hogan to crash an aeroplane on the way to WrestleMania. While not necessarily the best technical match of WrestleMania's history, it resulted in Warrior winning both the World Heavyweight Championship and Intercontinental belt, which was thought as impossible prior to the match. From what I remember... Go on.
I think with this one, especially like the build, I think this was the same year they first locked eyes at the Royal Rumble. I did like in a sense they were definitely building a new star in Ultimate Warrior. Well, we all know what that happened, but still, at that time, it was a really good way to build a new star. You know, you had the established guy and you had the rising guy. So with this one, I see it.
Of course, at the time, you know, the business was heavily protected, and you didn't hear so much of the politicking and the backstabbing that would happen over time. Hogan. But I did like the fact that from a story perspective, he did the classy thing and actually handed Warrior the belt, which I thought, okay, I like that. You know, it was a classy gesture when we all know Hogan was told to do that because Hogan didn't want to give up the spotlight. And he still doesn't.
No.
The match itself...
Which is why we'll never see Hogan versus Stone Cold.
Well... Stone Cold had some very specific ideas of how he wanted to go, and he said Hogan couldn't keep up with him.
Of course. I believe him, actually.
Yeah. Well, as harsh as this is going to sound, a lot of it is down to age and fatigue, because Austin was the younger guy at the time, and Hogan was... At that point, he was getting close. I think Hogan had only just turned 49 in 2002. Don't get me wrong, Hogan was in amazing shape. for that age. And the match he had with Rock, that is easily one for the ages. But even though Austin was having personal physical issues of his own at the time, because, you know, a lot of injuries were slowly catching up, I think he would have easily, you know, outclassed Hogan.
Yeah.
But like I say, the match I remember with Warrior and Hogan, it was what it was. I mean, it's two steroid-induced dudes going at it. It's just that
one of them possibly on cocaine.
Considering some of Warrior's promos, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And I say that with respect because some of the, you know, things that Warrior would do in the ring and his promos, you know, they do catch you off guard, but at the same time, you kind of look and think, my gosh, man, what were you smoking?
You really want to answer that?
Not really. It was a rhetorical question. Up next, WrestleMania 12, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. Before I read what it says, deservedly so. Easily one of the best WrestleMania matches ever put on. This legendary match between the Heartbreak Kid and the member of the Hart Foundation had an interesting wrinkle in its status as an Iron Man match. Instead of simply pinning the opponent or having them tap out with a well-placed submission move, the match itself lasted for an hour, and the winner would be decided by who was able to either pin or tap out their opponent the most times. Though Bret Hart eventually lost, he definitely proved himself to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I do agree with my buddy Nick Nugent. Bret, underrated, underappreciated, and undervalued as champion.
Oh, most definitely. Well, unfortunately for that, I don't know what it was, but him and Shawn Michaels didn't draw as champions for some reason, as world champions for some reason.
I know. That's the thing I don't get. I mean, Bret, easily one of the greatest catch as cats can and submission wrestlers has ever seen. Shawn Michaels, easily the greatest in-ring performer. I mean, this is a guy at 6 feet, 225 pounds, looks like a stick compared to other people his size, and yet he could wrestle with the best of them, and sometimes people twice his size and twice his weight. But he was a lot like Ric Flair. He could easily make his opponents look better than they actually were. Couple of examples. He made Cena look amazing at Mania 23, which led to that hour-long match on Raw, because there were problems going on story-wise with other matches, so they said, nah, keep going. Easily one of the best matches he ever had was Bad Blood 2003, the very first time he locked horns with Nature Boy Ric Flair. Easily one of the best matches he ever had, and this one doesn't really get talked about too much, but I think it's worth mentioning. SummerSlam 2002, his first match in 4 years against Triple H.
Oh yeah, that was a great comeback at the time. That was match especially, and the build up to it was really dope. It was just over the years, Triple H was just, you know, there was a burning jealousy within him, but he didn't want to admit it. He just, you know.
Oh yeah. Up next, WrestleMania 17, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh baby! Oh, we are getting to the echelon right now.
The Rock battled against Austin in the 17th WrestleMania, once again proving that without a doubt, the Attitude Era was one of the hottest times in the world of professional wrestling. Among a cadre of strong personalities, both Dwayne Johnson and Steve Austin were able to find their way to the top and delivered a match that was remembered years after. Though Stone Cold turned heel during the match, he was able to take the heavyweight championship from The Rock, adding another notch in his belt as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. If we ignore the asinine heel turn from Austin, you look at that match based on brass taxes, easily a 5-star classic telling an amazing story between two of the very greatest the business had to offer then and now. Because when you look at wrestlers today, they're trying to be the next Rock and Austin, because
I don't know what it is with that.
In a similar vein to Christopher Reeve's Superman, he set the bar so high for how to portray that character that Rock and Austin set the bar so high during the Attitude Era that guys like Cena, and especially now we've narked on Roman Reigns over the years with the way his character has been portrayed, particularly as babyface, but in the last year, kudos to him. He's actually found a niche that works for him. So, although he's gotten better, Roman Reigns is most certainly not his cousin. Not even close. I mean, athletically, Roman is easily one of the most athletically gifted athletes in the WWE today. And yes, as I say on the mic, way better. But Rock is easily one of the best. Let's just put it this way. If for some reason 5 to 6 years from now The Rock decides to come back and be a mouthpiece manager, you will have a Samoan equivalent to Paul Heyman. Because Paul Heyman is the best mouthpiece ever. But imagine if The Rock turned into a manager and, say, for argument's sake, cut promos speaking for Finn Balor. Could you imagine how much that would elevate him? It's not to say that Finn Balor isn't up there, because he should be, but imagine if he had a manager mouthpiece the caliber of what The Rock was able to do with his promos that would push him up to the next level. And, like I say, we're not going to go, with the talking about the heel turn with Austin around that time, because
Of course.
It's been documented so many times since 2001. JR has actually said in Q&As, conventions, and even in his book, Under the Black Hat, that he went to Vince and said, we're kind of killing the goose with turning Austin heel, and which Vince agreed, but he said, considering what Vince has, what Austin has done for this business, we owe it to him to at least try it. To which I thought, okay, I like that. But, 20 years later, one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made, and that's not even discussing the XFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that to this day, when Shawn and Triple H were impersonating the McMahons in 2006, Triple H as Triple McMahon is going through Vince's list of most embarrassing moments, like, it's more embarrassing than the XFL. Ooh, that hit a nerve. But to be fair to Triple H, he's no stranger to doing impersonations, like when DX tried to impersonate the Nation.
Woo-hoo-hoo, baby boy.
Triple H as the...
Oh, jeez.
Triple H as the Croc. Road Dogg as Belo. and X-Pac as Miyazark Henry, and they had like an actor portraying Owen Hart and said, I would have gotten here sooner, but my nose got here half an hour before me. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh, no.
And of course, I look at Triple H. I was like, sir, have you seen the size of your nose? You're in no position to make complaints.
Oh.
And also, did you notice, they couldn't do that segment today because both Road Dogg and X-Pac were sporting blackface. Can't do that today.
No, no, no.
I would love for them to try, but boy.
Nope, you can't do that today.
Nope.
Oh, dear. They'd be able to do, everything else with Triple H putting on the mock Elvis Presley wig and the fake eyebrow being put on. You'd be able to do that, but the stuff where, like I say, Road Dogg and X-Pac are impersonating D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry is like, no, man, you can't do that, no. I'm not sure who China was supposed to be impersonating, because there was no female member of the nation. At least I don't think there ever was.
Nah.
Although, has to be said, the closest there ever was to a female-led nation of domination was Team Bad.
Yeah.
True.
I think out of that lot, it's probably Sasha Banks that was the rock of that group, because, well, Sasha was able to cut the best promos. Tamina, promos are not her thing.
Muscle. She was more muscle.
And with really struggling. And with Naomi, again, promos are not her thing, but boy could she cut it in the ring. And
oh yeah,
I keep saying this even after she had her WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 33 where she recaptured the women's title. Probably one of the most underused, underrated, and underappreciated talents in the ring, because athletically, she's probably the most complete package, athletically wise, but it's just promos. That's the only thing that fails her as a superstar. Because I've been saying ever since she debuted as part of the Funkadactyls back in the day, when you saw this girl wrestle, you look at her performance and you think, this is a future champion. And I've been saying this same thing with Kofi Kingston. I said, one of these days, that guy's going to be world champion. And Oni says he cannot see the ring performance comparison between Kofi and Shawn Michaels, yet the styles are very similar. Both very high-flying, very athletic. Shawn's probably a tiny bit more technical than Kofi.
Yeah.
But, in terms, like I say, the flamboyancy, they're both on par with each other. And even Kofi has said Shawn Michaels is one of his idols. So, I don't know, it's just one of those matches I would like to have seen back in the day, but I think where Kofi was at the time, when he came in around 06, 07...
08.
Yeah.
He debuted during, like... Yeah, he debuted during the WWE version of ECW.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was shit, but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have guys like Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, and Jack.
Yeah. I think if Shawn had stuck around a little bit longer, it would have been interesting to see what he could have done with Kofi. But, you know, it's one of those things we'll never know. And I think Crown Jewel was a prime example of why Shawn shouldn't have come out of retirement for that one match. Because
that money, boy.
But
that's Saudi blood money. Let's go.
I will say, because we didn't know of the controversy that would come in afterwards.
Yeah.
At the time, Shawn was offered $10 million for one tag match, and I went, explicitly saying on Twitter, people saying, "Oh, Shawn's a hypocrite coming out of a match for $10 million," and I said, "Look me in the eye and tell me you would turn down a tag team match for $10 million."
True. Yeah, you go wrestle. Yeah, you're not gonna be the same, but hey, that payday.
I mean, it's like I say.
I mean, listen, way back in the day, I could not stand Lesnar. Y'all know this, but if I had the money he had when he does not do anything as much, I'll be set for life.
Yep. I still think, though, if you're a world champion, you should be there at least once a week because you're representing the company. And the fact that he only showed up when it suited him is just like, I'm not okay with that. Athletically, Lesnar's easily one of the most uniquely gifted talent the company's ever seen. I just can't stand his attitude. He's impressive when he's there, but as a person, I don't respect Brock because he doesn't respect the business nor the title. I mean, say what we will.
I mean, honestly, it's more of the fact that, Vince puts the belt on him, to generate buzz, which I do get, because I don't know, man. Say what you will about Brock, but he gives that big fight feel. I didn't get it back then, but now I do, especially when he gives guys like small dudes like Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and especially Daniel Bryan chances, and he will do it, and he will sell to them. Like, let's not forget Survivor Series 2018 where he fought Daniel Bryan and he basically turned heel. I don't know what it was, man, but Lesnar sold the fuck of Daniel's offense, and
True.
I know for a fact he was having fun with that match. Same goes for the match before that, especially because AJ Styles.
I was about to mention.
I mean, yeah, you can say the person Lesnar does respect the business, but look back at it, he's pretty small when it comes to business. It's just more of the fact that he's not really a people person. Like you heard it during the Stone Cold podcast. He doesn't like people as much. And honestly, at this stage in my life, I do agree. Even though I'm more friendly and all that, but I just don't like to be that much social with people. So I get that. And also to be fair, he is a farm boy.
There's an obvious joke that could bring up where Oni was going to say, "Oh, I'd love to play with my piggy," but it's like, no.
Yes.
No.
That was the first time I said it.
Oh dear. Next matchup that they've labeled as the greatest. This is actually from WrestleMania 26. I'm surprised they didn't say for 25. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker.
I mean, okay, you know what? Just continue. I'll have my thoughts on it.
The Dead Man went up against the Heartbreak Kid in what is considered to be one of the greatest matches of WrestleMania that was touted as the streak versus the career, with Shawn Michaels stating he would end his career if he wasn't able to break The Undertaker's undefeated streak. In a knockdown, drag-out fight, the Dead Man was able to maintain his streak but ended Michaels' career. at least for a little while, and easily earned its place as one of the greatest events of all time. Here's my 2 cents with this match. It's an amazing match, but it's not as good as the year before it. That was easily one of the greatest WrestleMania matches in the same context as Rock and Austin from 17 was probably the best out of the trifecta main event matches they had at WrestleMania. 15 is up there, absolutely. 19, yeah, still a great match, but 17 was better. And with Shawn and Taker, 25 was easily better, whereas 26, you had an idea of what to expect because of the year before. So, I don't know. Raiden?
I think with anything, the build up to the Streak for his career match is easily the best thing. Like using freaking placebo. Well, it's a cover, but placebo's running up that hill, dude. Oh my god, you could feel the emotion. You knew Shawn had to do whatever.
Oh,
Lost Raiden again.
Oh no.
As most people know, it is a recurring thing on here where, you know, sometimes we just get technical issues. It happens, folks. Just see if I can... There we go. I've lowered the volume of the music just a tiny bit. Just reading a couple of comments. I'm going to have to read for a fair bit here. Ryder says, good evening. Good evening to the Ryder. Keep meaning to drop into MJ's strings, but some days can be tricky. Dan says he's not feeling well. He thinks he caught a cold from one of his family members. Happy Easter. Ryder agrees Kofi versus HBK should have happened in 2009. Money talks, I'm afraid. 10 million can settle all of us for life. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Better late than never, but I'm finally here for a Sunday. He says he thinks 26's match is better than 25. More was on the line. Yeah. I will grant that. And yep, we're just still waiting on Raiden to return. I did get an update from Win. She'll join us if she feels like she's able to. We'll leave it at that.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, it's like we've said before, over the last few weeks. Raiden's back with us. It's like we've said before. All I'm able to say with regards to Wynn's absence is IRL. That's all I'm able to say.
Or did I get cut off?
Good question, actually.
Okay. Can I start it again?
May as well, dude.
You put all that passion and then you just get cut off. Okay, let's see if I can go back to this. Yes, and I do agree that the WrestleMania 25 Clash was the best, but I feel like you can't beat the build-up that they have for WrestleMania 26. Like, you know, HBK. I mean, it started out with the Flammies with Taker and HBK winning that match of the year, and you know, HBK Shawn was like, "Oh yeah, this is great," but he had hesitation, like, "I can beat you, Taker." And I think the next year he goes to Taker's like, "Hey, do you accept my match to face again?" He says, "No." All right. HBK wants to go. Shawn wants to do the Rumble. Final moment, bam. He gets eliminated. He goes mental. And because of all of this, it fucks up the focus so much after that, him and Hunter lose the titles. And then after that, he goes to the Elimination Chamber, screws over Taker, thus him losing the title, and then Shawn goes to, "Come on, Taker, face me so you can take my revenge." Taker said yes. Said on one condition, with career on the line. Shawn says, even if I don't beat you, I don't have a. That build-up alone definitely deserves to be that match to be on the main event. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, that was the one where Taker was actually inadvertently set on fire.
Yes. Oh my god, that shit was scary.
Because he was pouring water on himself the entire time he was in his individual chamber.
Oh, dude! After that, you can saw the burns on his face too.
And he said to Vince out back, "I don't care who he is. I don't want to know who he is. I don't want an apology. I just want him gone." And Vince is like, "I know." But then again, I'm gonna be guy in the middle for this. I think it was just one of those inadvertent, just badly timed and badly placed placements, for want of a better description. I don't think the guy did it intentionally. I'd like to believe he didn't do it, he did it unintentionally, but it's still one of those very awkward and scary moments that, Taker could have been brutally injured because of that, and also he kind of had to break kayfabe for a moment because, he was literally burnt. And a similar way, Triple H suffered a couple of degrees of burns when he went through the dry mist for his match with Batista at Mania, I think it was 35, wasn't it? Yeah, Mania 35.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that didn't do so well for him. Let's see. Next match. Oh, good lord.
Oh.
WrestleMania 28, The Rock versus John Cena. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson already had a number of feature-length films under his belt when the 27th WrestleMania rolled around, but he was looking to make a big splash in the WWE once again, doing it right by battling against John Cena. In their hard-hitting match, The Rock was able to pull off a win against one of the biggest names at the time, delivering a rock bottom that proved he was still one of the best in the business. And you were gassed as heck!
Like a motherfucker.
That man. I'm gonna steal a line from Oni from the Ryder will remember this, the review panel for SummerSlam 2012. That match sucked. I'm sorry. I mean,
what's he there? What?
Yeah, Ryder was actually at the panel for SummerSlam.
No, I meant live at the show.
Oh, Ryder, from what I remember him saying, he was at SummerSlam 2004 in Canada, and he was actually in attendance at WrestleMania 20, just a few rows up from Shane and Linda McMahon.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, Mania 28, that match was awful because, and this had only been like a few months removed from Rock's return to the ring at Survivor Series 2011. Granted, it was a tag match, but Rock, performed like he was never away. He was doing arm drags, counters to counters, suplexes. It was like he'd never been away. But then Mania 28 rolled around, and I'm sorry, Cena carried his ass through that match because, I mean, Rock was built like a brick in that match, but he'd lost so much of his pacing through so many years of being away from ring rust. And I'm sorry. I'm still going to go on record as saying, in terms of match quality, in terms of how the wrestling tells the story, the greatest match they had on that card that night was Chris Jericho versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship. That was easily the best match from a storytelling perspective. From a storytelling perspective, Taker and Triple H 3 was probably the best story one, even though the match itself was yeah. 27 was better. 27 for that match was better, but 28, that Hell in a Cell match was Hell in a Cell in name only. But like I say, Rock Cena, I'm sorry, I'm a Rock fan, but that match was garbage. There's one more to get to. And the last on the list, WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista. Bryan was able to cultivate a following based on his work ethic, technical achievements, and personality, and in a monumental feat, he was able to defeat the combined strength of Batista and Randy Orton to win the main event of WrestleMania 30. If you need one match to summarize the appeal of Bryan as a wrestler, it's this one, as he definitely earned his place as one of the biggest wrestlers in the modern era of World Wrestling Entertainment. Considering he had already competed that night in a grueling opening match with Triple H, just to be able to earn number one contendership to advance to face Orton and Batista for the undisputed title. Easily one of the best highlights of not just WrestleMania, but that year itself. And it's like we had said in the panel that year, because I had actually drawn up 3 scenarios. Scenario A, Bryan, Batista, and Orton as the main event. Scenario 2 was Triple H, Orton, and Batista for the main event. Or Scenario C, Bryan, Batista, Orton, and Triple H, because the game is not above stroking his ego and self-inserting himself into a match. It only said, and a scenario D, pending Hogan strokes his ego more. But to be fair, even in 2014, you'd never see Hogan in the ring again. And just as well, because even by that point, Hogan was done. And for a lot of people, they were glad of it. Ryder says 100% agreed. I think he's referring to the main event Mania 30 match. Not a fan of Bryan, but the match and that moment was earned, richly deserved. There's a couple of matches that I think are missing a little bit from some of these. One of which I think should be in there, Austin and Bret Hart, because that was easily...
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, that was easily considered to be main event quality, considering...
Oh yeah.
After that match, Sid and Taker are like, how do we top that? Michaels and Cena from Mania 23, that should have been listed in there. Again, opinion based only. I think even the triple threat match from Mania 20 should have been considered, because you had 3 of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Triple H defending the world title against Shawn Michaels, and as much as this gentleman is not talked about in the most positive light, you cannot deny the talent of Chris Benoit.
Yes.
Easily deserving of that moment. And also one of the bloodier main events, because Shawn had inadvertently smacked his eye into one of the turnbuckles. And I remember Ryder telling me this. There was this massive bang that they heard, and Shawn was just bleeding from the eye. Yeah. Ryder's just saying, too much blood at Mania 13. That's probably why it's not included. That's probably why. But I think it just added to the overall visual storytelling. Because even Austin has said it's one of the greatest visuals, where he's reaching down deep to try and break the sharpshooter, and you see the blood pouring from his head and over his mouth. It's just a great visual. I get it from a parental point. It's not considered very PG, but this was 1997 at the time. WWE was trying to transition away from that. And he just said, oh man, that hit on the post was brutal. There's quite a few, like I say, I've mentioned that there are a few entries on that list I don't agree with. Cena, Rock, no. Hogan, Andre, I get it from a visual perspective. It looks amazing, but compared to Savage and Steamboat, that match was never going to be that well remembered. Lids, my apologies for not coming to you about this. Do you agree with the majority of that list, or like us, do you feel like there are some on there that are like, really, this is on here? Lids?
For me, I have to agree. For the most part, with what you said, it's like a lot of these matches should be here. A lot of these matches, replace them with something else. I don't know what you would replace it with, but it's like there's a lot to choose from. For example, Rock and Cena. Why is that there? I just don't understand. And also, some matches should have at least moved up. At least, if you want to put Rock and Cena on the list, swap it in places where Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 17. Swap that places with that, because leaps and bounds, it told a better story than Rock and Cena. Because, good Lord, they were just ramming that story down our throats. Where it's like, you just want this to end, and we just stop. And then they decide to do Rock and Cena too. Nobody asked for this. This is what pissed CM Punk off to the point where he was done with that company, because he kept saying, I want the main event. But no. It had to be Rock and Cena. That's why he was so pissed off. That's where the pipe bomb came from.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If it had been Rock and Hogan on that list, and as much as, we have our gripes and our disagreements with the Hulkster, that match told a much better story than Rock and Cena. And also, Rock was in much better shape, and even Hogan was in good shape at the time, although I did hear at the time he was suffering with a minor rib injury. But seeing how he was performing through the match, would you know that? I mean, I go back to watch that match on occasion, and I'm like, this match is nearly 20 years old, and it's still better than what most of them are able to achieve today. I mean, crying out loud, Austin and Scott Hall was better than Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
And I do agree with Austin's perspective. That match should have been much higher up on the card, because Steve Austin, easily the greatest draw within the company, since after Hogan, and having like one of the best years he ever had in 2001 since coming back, and you demote him to mid-card. That's like... Let me think of a comparison you can sort of work with. That'd be like, from Raiden's perspective, that'd be like having the Dragon Zord starting a fight with a monster and he's taken out within 2 seconds. It's like, what? Or in Lydia's case, you have Buffy the Vampire Slayer start a fight off and then she's killed off. Not even 10 minutes into the episode, it's like, no. We don't do that. We don't do that. Ryder's saying, oh man, Rock versus Hogan at 18 was mega. Nothing will get that big of a reaction. It was jaw-dropping. In a similar vein, because I was going for a couple of random WWE clips. I went to the night, I think it was October 15, 2015, and it was the night that Michaels, Taker, Flair, and Austin came back to Raw. You hear the glass break, and that was the biggest pop that anybody on Raw had gotten in probably years. Even though, by that point, in 2015, Austin had been out of the ring for 12 years, he still gets cheered. Like, mega cheered. Then, probably virtually 99% of that current active roster. And, like I say, this is a guy who hasn't laced up his boots for 12 years, but as soon as you hear that glass break, they go crazy. I mean, crying out loud. Not even Roman Reigns, when he was cheered, gets pops like that. But I think, a lot of that lies in a couple of very key points. One, Austin's promo and his character was genuine, because the working blue collar working man could relate to what Austin said and did. And even with a lot of Austin's promos, what he said was coming straight from the gut. Ryder just says, yes, you go back and listen to those crowd pops. It's unbelievable. I think the only ones that come close to matching it, equaling it, and maybe in some cases occasionally topping it, the only two that come close, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Because Bryan, I think even William Regal had said this, Bryan's rise in popularity, he hadn't seen it since the early days of Stone Cold. It was just something you just couldn't fathom. And even though, and this shows you how quickly time has passed, even though this promo turns 10 years old in the next 2 months, CM Punk's pipe bomb is probably the most truest and most authentic and honest promo since the Attitude Era. Because it's as we said, and Ryder, you know where I'm going with this. SummerSlam 2011, when we did the preview, a lot of people described Punk's rant as his 316 moment. And you listen to Punk's promo. If that was scripted, he made it look very convincingly like it was his own words, because you can tell when a superstar is reading or memorizing a scripted promo. Just look at most of the stuff The Miz did 10 years ago. Yet, you listen to Punk, and it's like, that's too honest and it flows like it's your own natural words for that to be scripted. And it was something that a lot of fans were agreeing with. It's like, actually, I agree with what he's saying. And he's the heel. But, you know, it's what we needed at the time. But yeah.
I mean, if I'm being honest with this list, half is good, half is kind of shit. It's like, for me, it's just their own list. And luckily with us, we have our own list of what's the best. So,
yeah.
What's the point to complain? Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much a good way of looking at it. Speaking of inaccuracies, controversies, and all the bullshit in between. Oh dear.
What?
Justice League. Ray Fisher says he refuses to let Joss Whedon take sole responsibility for original movies' racial disparities. This is gonna get interesting. In the rush to cut Zack Snyder's assembly cut of Justice League down from 4 hours to less than 2, filmmaker Whedon removed a number of characters of color from the movie entirely and drastically reduced the roles of some others. Now that Snyder's Justice League is available to watch, fans have taken note, but the film star Ray Fisher said today that he blames institutional forces at Warner Brothers and not just Whedon for what ultimately became a less inclusive film. Among the parts cut or drastically reduced in the film are Ryan Choi, a Korean-American superhero from the comics and Star Labs employee, a waitress who's...
The successor to Ray Palmer, by the way.
Right. A waitress whose story intersects with that of Fisher's Victor Stone and Stone himself. Fisher's off-repeated allegations of wrongdoing on the part of Warner Brothers executives first became public when he told fans that Whedon had behaved in an abusive and unprofessional way on the set of Justice League. We've covered this a few times before, especially in the last couple of episodes before the end of Season 7.
Yeah.
The Avengers director had been brought on to fill in for Snyder, who left the movie amid conflicts with Warner Brothers after the death of his daughter in early 2017. The Snyder cut of Justice League is dedicated to that daughter. Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, and John Berg's racist and discriminatory conversations were major factors in the disparities, Fisher said on Twitter. I may not like Joss Whedon, but I refuse to let him take sole responsibility. The executives, as well as current DC Films chief Walter Hamada, have been regular targets of Fisher's ire. Reading between the lines of some of his comments, it seems he feels Whedon was made the scapegoat for the institutional wrongs in order to keep themselves insulated from consequences. Representatives from Warner Brothers have periodically sparred with Fisher about his public comments regarding not just the situation on the set, but the subsequent ethics investigation that happened after he went public with the first comment about Whedon. In recent months, other former cast members on Whedon's projects, most notably Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Charisma Carpenter, have come forward to back Fisher's claims, saying they experienced similar abuse during their time working with the filmmaker. In Snyder's Justice League, determined to ensure Superman's ultimate sacrifice was not in vain, Bruce Wayne aligns forces with Diana Prince, plans to recruit a team of metahumans to protect the world from an approaching threat of catastrophic proportions. The task proves more difficult than Bruce imagined, as each of the recruits must face the demons of their own pasts to transcend what has held them back, allowing them to come together finally, forming an unprecedented league of heroes. Now united, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash, maybe too late to save the planet from Steppenwolf, Desaad, and Darkseid and their dreadful intentions. You can see Zack Snyder's Justice League in color, or in the black and white Justice is Grey edition on it. Okay, that might be interesting to watch in black and white. Just saying.
Yeah.
Ryder saying with regards to, with with Punk. Look back at the amount of attention that promo got. Everyone suddenly got interested in WWE again. Those that had stopped watching came back. And he's using a laughing emoji. It might be with regards to either some of the stuff that Punk said or with regards to what's going on with Justice League. I like the fact that he's kind of not really letting Whedon take sole responsibility, even though the guy was being unprofessional on set. But the fact that executives were removing specific characters just because they didn't like the color of their skin. That's ill. If it was a case of the actor in question was behaving unprofessionally or behaving inappropriately with other cast members, and they have them written out to say, look, no offense, you're here to be professional, why can't you be that way? Then I'd say, okay, fair enough, you're removing them because of a lack of professionalism on their part. That would have been fine, but the fact that they had characters removed because of racist intentions and reasons, nah, sorry, that won't fly. They ought to know better than that by now.
Yeah.
Dan says, I wonder if the allegations are what's fueling the rumors of the Flash movie possibly erasing the Snyderverse. Ryder says, black and white has its pros. I've been meaning to do the same thing with the black and white noir version of Logan, because that was one of the that was one of the things that I got when I got the Steelbook years ago, and Logan's a freaking amazing movie. To see that in black and white, that'll be something.
The way the movie was, it was definitely Western. Very Final Stand-like, especially what happened, with Charles Xavier, with Powers, getting old and all that. It's just because of that, killed half of the X-Men, and now him and Logan were the last survivors of the X-Men.
Yeah. It's kind of why when I did the retrospective for Roger Rabbit this time last year, I thought, how do I make this stand out differently? And I thought, well, it's in an era where black and white film was still going, even though more studios were switching over to color. I thought, why not do the review where my camera segments, as well as the footage from Roger Rabbit, is done in black and white or new noir, as it's used in some parts, in some of the editing features. And even to this day, that's one of the editing projects I'm actually quite proud of, because I like things that stand out. And as I say, Ryder says, the amount of older black and white films I've been seeking out recently have a certain charm that I never noticed before. I think with that, it brings out a lot of character, because most of us have seen TV and movies in full color for so long. When you watch something that's black and white, it's purposely making you focus on the details more in the picture, because you haven't got the color to work with, to a point where you kind of take it for granted. So when you watch something in black and white, knowing that this is what film used to be filmed in, that and sepia, whatever your preference is for it to be called, you're focusing more on the story more. And I like this sort of more mysterious look that black and white have, and especially with photographs. most people that I've seen down the years, whenever I've gone to a railway museum, there's something about a steam engine, looking at it in black and white, that it just stands out. Now, there's nothing to say that. No, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing. That's not to say, that I don't like, doing the color photography that I do. I absolutely adore that. But there's something, particularly like, Ryder's pointing out there, the 1940s noir era, when you see a steam train pulling out of the station with all the steam going around, but the picture is set to black and white. There's something with a lot of character. It's got that very, very old school noir detective look. Because one of the things I toyed with doing when I did the 30th anniversary retrospective for the 89 Batman, I was considering doing the whole review even then in black and white, just to see how it would have looked. And who knows, maybe one day I might just go back and do that. Because, we're only 3 years away from the 35th anniversary. Oh, good lord, everything's catching up now.
I know, what the fuck?
I mean, those that are old enough to remember this year sees the 40th anniversary of Arthur, starring Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli.
Wow.
Interesting.
Ryder says, black and white also helped WandaVision for the first 2 episodes, as it was being a callback to the old US sitcoms.
Yeah. I do kind of love that.
It's also kind of what they did for like the first few seasons of George Reeves' Superman, where I don't think it got in color until something like season 3 or 4. Because I think even in those days, in the 50s, color was still very experimental for TV. And in fact, particularly in the UK, the first UK children's series to be shot in color, even though it was broadcast in black and white, Stingray was the first one to be filmed in color. Because one of the things I remember doing when I did that retrospective for its 50th anniversary in 2014, I'd have the comparison of this is what it was filmed in, but this is what it was televised as. Oh, that's an impressive detail. And he said, and actually having it in the 4x3 was nice too. Well, I suppose if you're going to be doing it from that particular era, you may as well have a level of authenticity and consistency, because I think widescreen, even in those days, was still just set specifically for movies, although there probably were 1 or 2 movies back in, even in that era, that were still done by 4x3. Because I think even like the original Jungle Book movie, and I'm not talking about the Disney movie, I'm talking about the original one that was filmed in 39 or 1940. Even that one was done like 4x3.
Wow.
Yeah. Raiden, what do you make of what's come out of this? The fact that Fisher is putting blame on the executives as well as Whedon.
I mean, you got a strong opinion about it. I can't lie to you. I mean, at least the Snyder Cut, we finally see, the full origin of the Cyborg. I mean, for people who know about the character, it was just happy to see that it was captured instead of just the whole Whedon cut just being cut for time or whatever. So the fact that he wants to keep going at it with Whedon just to say, hey, you fucked up, and I'm not going to let you take credit for your original work. It speaks volumes, especially with the Snyder Cut coming out. So, hey, props to him. Props to him, man. Things with Whedon. I mean, we already talked about it a couple times. It's like, wow, you couldn't believe it, but people have it's crazy how people can keep their silence so long just to keep their job ish. So I'm happy that we live in a world that we can just expose a lot of people for the evilness. Hey, I get full props to Fisher.
Yeah. Madam President, your 2 cents.
I mean, I don't blame him. The way that Ray Fisher was treated on that set, he has every right to freaking not just blame Whedon, but to blame the executives who let him get away with this, because man has a history of freaking hurting people, and, well, not physically, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the fact that the execs just hired them, he's like, oh, he'll punch up the script, it'll make it as big as Avengers was, which was probably part of the problem, because they were trying to make it like, oh, this is going to be our version of the Avengers. Yeah, that's cute. No. It's comparing apples to oranges. And the fact that they just got Whedon to punch up the film with humor, and the fact that Snyder's cut is a bit darker, it's just, I mean, Ray Fisher has every right to complain that he got treated like shit, and then they let Whedon get away with it. Every other person that has stuck up for him has proven that Whedon should at least lose his career. But it's like, if he's gonna mistreat the people the way he does, I'm sorry, you should not be here anymore.
Wait, if I remember correctly, did Joss Whedon work on that Jessica Alba series, Dark Angel?
I believe so. Yes.
So? Yeah.
Jessica Alba. That's a name I haven't heard for many a year.
Mm-hmm. She keeps it low key from time to time, but let's just say, and say what you will about the Fantastic Four movies. Yeah. Also in this movie, Honey.
I love her in Honey. She is just absolutely a treat to watch, and I like the fact that she stands up to the jerkwad of the music video director, all because she wouldn't give in to his advances, and even Missy Elliott at the end is saying, no, I want Honey Daniels as my dance coordinator, because Jessica was definitely one of those rare breeds where the talent was more than on par with her beauty, because the way she put up with Reed Richards' bullshit in both Fantastic Four movies, and this is where I see Richards' perspective in the movie, but at the same time I also see Susan Storm's perspective, because in terms of the mission and being a scientist, you understand Reed, but the way he handled his relationship with Susan, it's like, what the hell, dude? And you wouldn't know by listening to Ian Griffith. You hear the man normally, he's got a very thick Welsh accent.
Yes.
But he pulls off the American accent so well. And
yeah, first time I saw the guy was in remember 102 Dalmatians?
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah,
it was 102 Dalmatians. That was the sequel.
102 Dalmatians. Yeah, that was the first time I saw the guy. And yeah, his acting was super.
Plus, he's most notable.
I did like that line he gave to Cruella. I'm beginning to dislike this woman.
He's most notably known in this country for playing the titular role in a period piece drama called Hornblower. It's kind of like a I want to say 17th, 18th century story about this ship captain that, you know, I suppose it was kind of like being that sort of era setting of like Pirates of the Caribbean before Pirates of the Caribbean came along. At least that's my understanding with it. But as Reed Richards, I thought he was alright, and it has to be said that first movie gets dumped on so unnecessarily. I mean, it's not perfect, but it was alright. And also, you have to love Mike Chiklis as the Thing. He is most definitely the Thing.
Oh god, he embodied the Thing.
Oh yeah. Makeup was great too.
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually ever uttered this line, but I think he did sort of say it. So I was like, what a rotten freaking development this is, because I loved the guy who voiced Ben Grimm in the 90s animated series, because he was on point, perfect. And who'd have thunk it? You know, Chris Evans, who would go on to play a noble and virtuous Steve Rogers, plays an obnoxious frat boy prick as Johnny Storm, but dang it, he does it so well.
Yeah, like I was watching that movie, it's like I want to punch you, and I know I'll get caught on fire, but I don't care. It's worth it. And when I heard that they cast him as Captain America, I'm like, really, Johnny Storm? All right, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. But now all I see him as Steve Rogers. I'm just
And one line that I wanted to hit him for, but at the same time is such a good line, is the nurse just goes to him, "Oh my gosh, you're hot." He goes, "Why, thank you, so are you."
oh!
I mean, today he would get crucified. Wait. Considering this is Easter Sunday, that's probably not the best thing to say. He would get reprimanded. Yes. He would get reprimanded. That. Considering what today is, that's probably not the most appropriate thing to say. So I apologize for that. That's my bad. But yeah, saying that line today, that would get you a lot of heat. But Jessica Alba's, like I say, Susan Storm, no, I'm going over this again, but very underrated. And, you know, like Raiden, I just go up to Jessica, go, "How you doing?"
Basically.
Although, one movie that she was in called, I think it was called either The Sex Journal or The Sex Dictionary, where she plays, it's either a Spanish or Portuguese girl with very limited English speaking lines. Whenever they would film love scenes, she would actually have a body double play that scenes from like the neck down, because either she had it written into her contract that, look, I'm not going to do a nude scene, or she wasn't confident in her body image. I don't know the specifics. All I know is people would say, you know, who, you know, worked on this, like, that's not Jessica. I don't know whether she had or had not done, but I don't know. I do have respect for actresses that say, nah, I'm not going to do that, but in the case of one actress's career, where this movie next year turns 30, Sharon Stone's career actually rocketed to actually getting herself better roles because Basic Instinct turns 30 next year. And whilst we all remember it for Sharon doing the thing with her legs, and the fact that there were a few scenes that probably got a lot of guys press pause on for way too long. You look at the way she portrayed Catherine Tremell. The lady was a stone cold vixen, but she proved, because she was a struggling actress at the time, she proved that she could perform more than competently as an actress whilst also being the eye candy. Because that movie got her foot in the door with things like Tombstone. And she did the movie... Was it the Robert De Niro movie called Casino? Or was it called Vegas?
Casino. It was called Casino.
I mean, it just proves that, like I say, she could prove to the world she could act competently, even though it meant her performing in a birthday suit. But she had no bones about it, because she did it again in Sliver, which that movie was weird, by the way.
With the one with the slugs?
Slugs?
That's Slither.
Oh, Sliver. Okay, that's what you meant.
Yeah, Sliver was that was an interesting movie where the character that Baldwin played, that's the type of thing that could get you arrested for these days. Because he was doing Big Brother before, Channel 4 was doing Big Brother over here. And of course she then did Basic Instinct 2 all those years later, which I think even at 48, she still had guys going up to her going, "How you doing?" But yeah. And Ryder's just saying in the comments, Sharon Stone doesn't get enough credit. I agree. Shame she hasn't had more recent hits. Absolutely. I have Sliver on Laserdisc. And of course she even made like a quick cameo in Last Action Hero.
Oh, wow.
Along with, Robert Patrick as the T-1000. But on one hand, you would look up and sort of think, wouldn't Arnold have recognized it? But wait. No, he wouldn't have. Because the character Arnold was playing wouldn't.
Exactly.
And Shoma's in the chat. Bad joke incoming. Basic Instinct. That's the film where Sharon Stone plays the spoons on her knees to entertain a family of talking cartoon beavers. Love that wholesome family flick. Oh, what fun.
Shut up, Raph.
Beat me by 1 second. He said something earlier. Insert pun here. Annoy MJ Knight. My typical Sunday morning hello from the heathen lands of American California Earth. What? While I respect Warner Brothers for their film legacy and related characters, they are thirds behind Sony and the now consumed Fox in the bad movie making decisions in and out of the DC extended universe. Okay, I'm not going to actually knock him for that. There is a little bit of truth to what he's saying, because...
Yeah, I mean, so far, things are improving, especially with James Gunn's Suicide Squad coming out soon. Which I'm very looking forward to, because, not only freaking Sylvester Stallone voicing King Shark.
Oh my god, yes!
And John Cena playing Peacemaker.
Oh god. Hearing Sylvester Stallone's voice going num num, I'm like, damn it, no!
Well, Well, it can't be any worse than Vin Diesel going, I am Groot.
You're not wrong. You know what? You're not wrong.
And Cena playing Peacemaker. It's like, John, you're almost.
Honestly, this is what Cena is loving to do. Because I mean, listen, he is loyal to WWE. We all know this. But I think internally he wanted to turn heel for the longest.
Yeah.
So him just doing all these roles, especially blockers.
Cena, that's not how you drink a beer.
Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like with this, he's just letting everything out in his own fun way. Not to mention, before the movie comes out, he's gonna get a prequel series.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, at least we thankfully have had one thing rolled out, and I know Ryder's going to be pleased with this. At one stage, there was a vicious rumor going around on the wire that Knight Rider was going to be rebooted as a buddy comedy picture with possibly Kevin Hart as the voice of Kit and John Cena playing Michael Knight. I'm like, oh, heck nah.
Okay. I could take Cena as Michael Knight. But Kevin Hart voicing Kit. Nah, bruh.
How about no?
I mean, if anything, and Ryder may or may not agree with this, I think it would be more apropos if they got Chris Barry voicing Kit, who had played Rimmer for so long on Red Dwarf, because if you ever listen to the radio plays of Red Dwarf, Barry knows how to mimic the other characters' voices. He would have been a much better suited for that. I like Kevin Hart as an actor because he kind of reminds me of what Carlton would be like if he just loosened up just a little bit more. But Hart as the voice of Kit, I mean, it's too much like Gadget Mobile from the 99 movie.
Voiced by D.L. Hewley?
Yeah. I mean, that works for Gadget because Gadget's based a little bit more on humor. But you know, to take a comedic spin and put that on Kit, no. There is a level of humor to Knight Rider, yes, but it's not the sole driving, plot point of it. I like to think of the sort of humor in there. It's akin to that of the first Stephen Sommers Mummy movie. It's humor within the moment, but it's mainly driven by the action. Knight Rider was a sci-fi drama show, but the humor is there just to lighten the tension. Some of the moments that comes to mind, and Ryder's already going to be nodding his head when I say this, Season 3's Dead of Night, where Michael has been given a lethal dose of poison from this plant that was used to extract the poison from so they can sell it to unfriendly nations. And even though his immune system is struggling to keep him awake, Kit is keeping Michael alive by telling him some of the worst jokes possible. Like one example, I know a man that made so much money in Las Vegas, they're still looking for his body. Or one of the jokes he told earlier is, I used to when I was a kid, we used to have a mouse problem but our houses were so small that the mice were hunchback, and it's just like, ugh. Or another one. What was it? How does this go? We had a mouse problem at our house, and in order to bait the mice, we left a picture of cheese. And you know what happened? We caught a picture of a mouse. And it's just like, oh. But the thing was with that episode, you knew why he was doing it, because Michael wouldn't have any choice but to focus on it. And it was just sheer willpower that was keeping him alive. But the episode, while it's extremely well written and it's an amazing pulse racing experience as a fan, it's one that's also highly critical because they recycle a lot of footage from the original pilot episode, Night of the Phoenix. From the drive up to Millston Airport, and to where Kit is chasing up with the plane, clipping the fuel tank, and to when the people are, trying to escape the plane, and when the plane actually blows up, it's just recycled footage from near the end of the pilot. I get why studios did it back in the day, because it saves money, but that's when your cheapness shows. Another example of like really overusing stock footage was the season 4 episode, not Trapped in the Sky, but it was along the lines where Bonnie had been captured and this airplane was brought down near this secret military base, and they had reused footage from something like the first 3 seasons, from Deadly Maneuvers, then Night Strike, and I'm looking at this thinking, guys, your budget's showing. It's it's just something that we took a little bit personally, and there were a couple of times during SG's lone single run, there were a couple of times where stock footage was reused. I think there was some stock footage reused from the pilot, but not to a huge extent. The biggest problem, Ryder's just saying, that's why humor worked for the episode. It was the 80s. Sometimes you just got to use stock footage. Budgets and deadlines were crucial back then. Yeah, and then there was that day in 85 or 86 that was referred to as Black Monday, where there was like this huge financial crash, and a lot of places, not just movie studios and TV studios, were tightening their belts. And I think, NBC were asking for, I think Universal were like asking NBC for more money for certain specific episodes of Knight Rider, which is why they ended it with the 4th season, because they had ideas going into the 5th season about the CIA developing their own supercar, and Devon would have gotten injured and left in the hospital, and then Michael, Kit, RC3 and Bonnie would have gone rogue on the road and just working with very limited parts from the semi so they could find a way, just a means of keeping Kit going. Ryder also says sometimes episodes would air just a few days after production wrapped. Yikes. Just don't ever talk to me about Voodoo Night. That's all I'm gonna say. Ryder knows what I mean by that. That's for me, that was Knight Rider at its worst. Ryder absolutely adores season 4. Me personally, I think it's one of the worst, even though it had a good, strong start. And there are some episodes that I go back through. There's like, you know what, that one's not so bad. But a lot of that season, I don't hold it in such fond regard as everyone else. And little story here. It was NightCon 2010. Ryder knows where I'm going with this already. We're having a raffle, and one of the things that came up as one of the prizes was the 4th season of Knight Rider on DVD, and I'm like, please don't don't be my numbers, don't be my numbers, don't be my numbers. And he'd said this, I think, in one of the only other Skype panels I did for Nightwatch back in the day. He says, I saw the look in your face. You really didn't want that box set. Mind you, he was purposely hoping not to win a VHS that he already had in his possession. Oh, funny little story from the 2009 one. This is the first time I went up to that event. The night before, Pete and I got up there just to sort of set the scene. This is outside a Premier Inn in Halifax, where he says, I think it's because I saw a lot of season 4, episodes age 4 and 5. Happy memories. Just to set the scene, the Premier Inn where this was staged at, which was outside a former hospital, you have all the cars lined up out in the parking lot, but there's a parking lot just near the entrance exit, and there's at least... No. We were... Yeah, this was down just after going down the slope, and there's this lovely, this beautiful, fully restored, jet black 1986 Chevrolet Corvette. Easily probably put out well over 300 brake horsepower, because again, 86. And there's a couple of, like, 3 or 4 cars around it. Some of them were like Nissan Micras, Vauxhall Novas, and what have you. And they're all revving their engines. Woo, 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 woo. This guy just revved his engine twice, and it set off all the car alarms around it.
Damn.
Oh. I've still got photos there from somewhere. Raiden, if you happen to have been at that convention, you would have looked at me and said, please don't let me leave here. Please don't let me leave here.
Yeah.
Because I think at that particular event, there was at least 18 to 23 kit conversion replicas of the original car, at least 2 replicas of the kit stang, and there was at least 4 to 5 Mustangs, one of which is this gorgeous cherry Mustang. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it a sec, because I sometimes keep certain specific pictures of some of them. Let me see a minute. No, that's... No, it's not that one. Although I do have this picture that may be of interest to you.
Oh, hey.
Ooh.
Hang on. I'll just
I dig the cherry red.
yeah, just post that out there just so people can at least see what they're looking at, because you know that's just a gorgeous thing of beauty. Give me a minute. I am determined to find it because, like I say, it's just this one particular Mustang that's whenever we went back to these events, just started drooling over that car for, well, no other reason other than it was a gorgeous looking car. Hang on, no. Damn, this one really wants to evade me. Let's see. No, there is a Mustang here, but this is more from my local area. No, hang on. No, that's not it either. This is gonna be one of those. This is gonna be one of those things that bothers me this evening. It's like, where is it?
Just remember the last couple photos that you posted, and then it'll come to you.
You'd think I'd remember my own advice with that.
Yeah, no. It happens, trust me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, hang on, wait. Oh.
Got it.
I've found a few. Some of them I've had done up, but this is one that actually showed up 2 years in a row.
Ooh.
Hey, that's hot.
All right, let me just so that people can sort of see that end as well. Let's see. Gorgeous cars. Yeah, Ryder goes, oh yeah, that one. It's like, and just showing going, evade you like an escaping kit at full throttle. Raph, shut up. It's Raph, though. It is what it is.
Still loving me either way.
Yes. But like I say, those are some gorgeous car models at that thing. Funny little story. Yeah, Ryder says, "God, love those racing stripes." Funny little story. I think it was at the 2010 event. There was this one police ranger cop car. It might have been used in Dukes of Hazzard. It was starting up so loudly that the way that the exhaust was going, it was shooting off like there were gunshots going off, to the point that, according to the late Toby one, I was laughing somewhat like Mark Hamill's Joker. And they even had somebody come along that made a replica of the semi-tractor. Because a couple of us were like, mimicking of, honking on the horns, to which they did. Same one earlier that day. I was having like one of those moments where, where you get like a bit of fog in your head, where you just sort of like become slightly disorientated for like a split second, so you're sort of like half awake. The guy honked the horn, and I was like literally stood right in front of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm officially awake now. But yeah, some amazing cars that got brought up to those events. That was at the 2010 one. I actually met and shook Rebecca Holden by the hand.
Whoa!
And, you know, especially in the 80s, especially during season 2, Rebecca was nothing but a picture of beauty. And to her credit, she still is. She's got this very classy, southern, irresistible charm to which the late Glenn Larson referred to her as the Southern Belle. Ryder knows this story as well. When we were in one of like the viewing rooms, because they were showing like a replay of Glenn Larson's message to the convention and showing episodes of SG, for a brief moment we actually met Catherine Hickeland, who was David Hasselhoff's wife back in the day, and she sort of actually, you know, she's like, "Oh, what are you boys doing watching that?" I was like, "Nothing doing, miss. We're just enjoying the show." And Nick has met both of them several times, and, you know, he says that, you know, Catherine is nothing but an angel. But yeah, when we did the 2012 event over at the Beverly Garland Hotel, where a lot of episodes of Knight Rider were actually filmed back in the day, including Forget Me Not, and there was a season 2 episode where Michael helps this motocross rider kind of get over his fear of get over this like crutch that, you know, he thought he killed his friend on a race course when, you know, it was absolutely untrue. Those episodes were actually filmed there, and one of the stunt actors who would fill in for Hasselhoff, he actually did try to get Hasselhoff to come to this event. He never showed up. I don't know the specific reasons for. Ryder said the episode was Speed Demons. Very well written episode. But no, at Knight Rider Reunion, I, you know, came across a few people. I met the actor who played Jonathan in season 3's Kit vs. Car, and he was originally slated to be Michael Knight, and so was Don Johnson at one stage. Yeah, Don Johnson almost was Michael Knight.
Okay, that's nuts.
But what sold it for Glenn Larson, David did something that none of the actors did, and that he treated the car like his friend, because as soon as he saw David pat Kit on the door and say, "Good job, buddy," you know, treating him like his friend, is like, that's it. That's what we're looking for, because Knight Rider, for all intents and purposes, is a buddy situation. One happens to be a very passionate and sometimes irrational human being, whereas Kit is the logical, sensible, and calm artificial intelligence. But it was because of what Hasselhoff did that Glenn said, "Yep, that's Michael. That's our Michael." I'm just going to try and get her name from this, because I've got to go over to Knight Rider's IMDb section, because I actually got the actress to sign this like special portfolio that they handed out as part of, like, you know, whatever package Yeah, Knight in Shining Armor, because this lady was also in a lot of Doctor Who episodes back in the day. I met Daphne Ashbrook.
Cool.
Hey guys.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve, what's good?
Apologies for being late. I ended up oversleeping because I don't know why, but I've been tired for the last couple of days.
Considering what you've been going through, dude, that's understandable.
Yeah, bruh.
I understand.
How's your lip anyway? How's your lip though?
Okay, I had to remove one or two of the sutures because they were really getting on my nerves.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I understand
Dude,
Blitz.
I can imagine having sisters doing that stuff. So.
I understand Blitzwing got there okay.
Yep. And again, thank you for that.
Hey, no big thing. My brother didn't want it anymore, so it's just like, okay, eBay it is. As can be said for some of his magazines.
Yes.
Well, someone's already bidding for, some of them on eBay, so, I'm not questioning these things. The only other people I did meet at Knight Rider Reunion, I met Peter Paros, who played Reginald Cornelius Reginald Cornelius III, or RC3 for short, and that man does not age. I even did a cheesy thing when I got him to sign. He's sort of like, oh, okay, here's your autograph. It's like, oh, I can dig that, because that was his catchphrase on the show. And I even got this man's autograph, a couple of selfies, but even had a conversation with Michael Chaffee, who not only designed the original kit, but he was also one of the principal designers of the DeLorean from Back to the Future. And the guy is as humble as they come. Because one of the things that I wanted to ask him when I was at the UK conventions is, had he been brought to design the car for the 2008 series, would you have done the dashboard being a little bit more practical as opposed to just being, smoke and mirrors as they did for the show? And he says, oh yeah, absolutely, it would have been much more practical. And Ryder and I were actually very surprised that Mike even said hello to us, because I just happened to see him walking by, and I'm like, hey Michael, how are you? He goes, oh yeah, I'm just fine. And Ryder and I just all looked at each other like, Mike Chaffee just said hi to us. We're a little bit awestruck by that, but
And on the inside, you were squealing like a little girl.
a little bit. One of the things I was really impressed by, because again, this shows you how humble and approachable this guy was. After Knight Rider Reunion, we went to this restaurant called Tula's that's adjacent to the Beverly Garland Hotel. I was having a cheeseburger and French fries with a little hint of garlic. Gorgeous, by the way. Mike had been over at what they were referring to as the celebrity table, and he actually comes over to our table, because it was me, Duran, there was this gentleman from South Africa, very nicely, softly spoken.
And I think he was with the end of year panel.
Duran,
during 2018.
Duran, super nice guy. And Nick and his mother joined us, and like I say, Mike just came over, just for a few minutes, just to ask us, how we doing? Did you enjoy the day? And I'm like, this is a man that is part of Hollywood royalty with regards to cars and special effects and props and what have you, and he's humble enough, to come over and, ask people like us, did we enjoy the event, because he really cared about, even though he wasn't the one who'd organized the event, he cared enough to come in and see how we were. And, you have to admire that approachability and that humility about that, because that really says a lot about someone's character. And also, he had an absolutely gorgeous 2010 Chevy Camaro. I happened to see him park up, and I'm like, car is beautiful. The only other thing that it didn't really sour the event, but it was just like a minor disappointment, Hasselhoff not showing up. But the other thing that really kind of brought the mood down just a little, we were told at one point a guy with a 1989 Batmobile replica was going to show up at the event, and I'm like, no way, dude, I'm getting in that. But they never showed. But the cars that were there, I think there was at least 2 kit stand replicas, at least 15 to 18 replicas of Kit Prime. They had the BMW from the second Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie, which I'm gonna be stuck for.
I think it was Tomorrow Never Dies.
Thank you.
Yes.
They had a 1962 Aston Martin there as well. I think they might have had a Generally, and I'm not making this up, a live-action recreation of the 1987 Ninja Turtle van.
Oh
yeah?
Yeah.
Uno momento, por favor.
I think I remember seeing a video about that.
Let me just go and search my archives a second. Here we go. Let's see. Hang on. Yeah, don't play the video. Just let me go to it. All right. Just so that Raiden can see for himself. The fact that they went to that level of detail.
Woo-wee!
Yep.
God damn!
Yep.
Oh my lord!
Cowabunga indeed.
Woo! Yo, I'll listen. I will. If I was a millionaire, I would buy that shit. What you mean? Be with my homies. It's like on a Friday or Saturday night, we just cruising, get some pizza, probably be in the van, have a built-in TV with a game system, play some old school Ninja Turtle games, especially with the new one coming out, Shredder's Revenge. Let's go. That's a good time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, some of the, some of the things that were seen at that event, it's one of those things you have to sort of see it and appreciate it for what it is, because it was just an amazing time there. Let's see. I would have thought there'd be one or two more there. Hang on. Because there was some stuff with the Mustang. Hang on. Kit Stang. No. I don't want the whole shebang. I just want to see... There we go. Alright. Hang on. Now, granted... That one's only got 29 views. No. We don't want that. We want... Is this the right one? Hang on. That was only on 48 views. That's no good to me. I think this one's set to private as well. Yeah, probably just a lot easier just typing in Knight Rider Reunion. Hang on. Nah, just show all. It's a lot easier. That's weird because I was supposed to have at least one particular video that's got like well over 1,000 views on it. Why? All right. If I just put.
Found it?
I think I have. See if this has got... Not the sort of views I was looking for. Hang on. Go back to that a minute.
Yeah.
Kit Stang. Oh, that might have been it. Let's see. No, it's more or less more. I might be thinking of one of the other ones, but no, that one's set to private as well, so must be that one. Nope. Yeah, very weird. Let's see. Yeah, because I remember one of these actually having tons and tons of views on it, because some of the clips in question was actually featured in one YouTuber's video comparing like Matchbox kits. Hang on. Knight Rider, Matchbox car, Mustang. Yeah, it's from this guy. Let's see. Right. Let's turn the volume back on.
Whatever the day brings, Grammarly helps you communicate smarter.
Turn the lo-fi hip-hop off for a minute.
Yeah, I'm at 00.
As you type, Grammarly makes sure you write clearly.
Alright, here we go. Whew. Right, I'm at 02.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Hold on. Yeah, I got the ad. Finish up the ad.
Yeah.
Alright. I got it.
Alright, I'm at 0.
3, 2, 1, play.
This here is the 1/64 scale Hot Wheels edition of the Knight Industries 2000 from the Knight Rider TV series.
Damn, that looks
The
clean as
iconic
hell.
Knight Industries 2000, or KIT for short, was a Pontiac Trans Am in the show.
That looks
ran
awesome.
From 1982 to
Yeah.
1986. It's still very popular at conventions.
Mm-hmm.
This die-cast model contains a lot of detail for its size, including the red scanner at the front, the Knight's
2011.
license plate at the back,
Yep.
as well as the steering wheel and control panels on the inside. So, this is a very good miniature display piece.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wonder if they ever did a remote control kit.
They have.
Except it isn't. The Knight
My
Industries
footage.
3000, also known as KIT, was a forged Shelby Mustang GT500 KR in the 2008 revival
Yeah, look at that
series.
Cobra!
Mm-hmm.
Hot Wheels never made a Knight Rider version of the Mustang like they did
Oh my
for the Trans Am.
god!
But that's okay because they did release the Mustang in the same 1:64 scale as the original KIT. It bears a good resemblance to KIT
Dude,
because this is the 2007 Shelby
I understand your love for this
GT500.
bad boy.
Once again, there's great detail for a diecast of this size. There isn't a license plate on the back, and the interior is basic, since this is a standard model and not a Knight Rider edition.
Yeah, because he approached me and said, "Can I use your footage? You know, of the Mustang." I'm like, he says, "You know, just go, yeah."
Overall, it is a
Carry
good
on.
counterpart display piece if you want to show
Dude,
off both
that
cars
is
from the Knight
amazing.
Rider series.
Ooh, Michael Machine's power. Okay, I'm going to subscribe.
Yep. It's something about the kit, Stang. I don't know what it is, but you know, just something about it. It's just the way it was used in the TV show, and oh, Dan's saying, since we're discussing toy reviews, I'd like to recommend a YouTube channel to you. His name is Dr. Lockdown. Probably not the best choice of names considering all things going on at the moment. And he's an Australian Transformers toy reviewer. He's very informative. Also, he reviewed the Top Gun Transformers toy. Oh.
Ah, Maverick.
I'll give him a look.
This is the thing, like I say, Ryder and I were in agreeing upon with regards to SG. It's not the car specifically that let SG down. It's just that the writing could have been better. I mean,
The writing.
the series.
Also, good lord, it's just. I remember early SKL, you showed me the fucking GoBots, whatever looking.
Yeah.
Oh my lord,
car.
look at
The Cartridge-tron or whatever that amalgam thing was.
Yeah, in the original series, it's the Knight Automated Roving Robot. In SG, his acronym now abbreviates the Knight Auto Cybernetic Roving Robotic Exoskeleton.
that.
Yeah. I didn't, I was stoked that Peter Cullen came back to reprise his role. But the problem I had was that the fact that Carr was essentially a killer robot that could transform from a Mustang into an 18-foot bipedal robot. It's just like, it's one thing to be like Transformers inspired where the car can change shape from, to cars of similar shape and mass. That bit I had no issue with whatsoever, because I thought, well, that's actually, clever that Kit could transform into other cars to hide in plain sight. But to go straight up to transforming into robot, 18-foot tall robots, I'm like, guys, you're not just jumping the shark, you're jumping the Rex with this. And then hearing things like, Kit must die. I must merge with you, Michael Knight. And I'm like, Carr would never say that. He would say, Kit must be deactivated. Or my personal favourite line of Carr, this conversation is non-productive. And this was like in 82 when Colin first voiced Carr. This was 2 years before he voiced Optimus Prime. Although one of the other lines I like is, you wish to eat? Yeah. You wish to drink? Well, yeah. You wish to reproduce? Well, not right now. What would you like? It's like, why don't you get us a couple of eggs, sunny side up? I have no eggs. Perhaps you may direct me to a chicken. I'm like, it's funny on the face of it because the character doesn't understand that it's funny, but that's just the way his AI was, the way he was programmed. Because Kit was programmed to be a compliant and learning artificial intelligence with the basic programming of the preservation of human life, which comes under the 3 laws of robotics by Isaac Asimov, whereas Carr was programmed with self-preservation, which Wilton Knight realized what a mistake that was. And it's kind of present in SG. And here's the thing I never understood. If Wilton Knight built the original car, why would Charles Grayman go and build a new one, knowing how flawed the original was? Ryder says, I'm cool with it now. Many years have passed, and I can enjoy Knight to King's Pawn for what it is. Considering how many modern shows have become super depressing and moody, Knight Rider 2008 was fun, and that version of Knight Rider also very sexual.
Oh Lord.
Particularly Knights, Night of the Zodiac, where they go to Vegas. The amount of cleavage shots and where you see this one girl doing the mermaid swim underwater, I'm like, this is a family show, right? Particularly like in Knight in Shining Armor, where Kit has been hit with this biomissile that's actually targeted for Mike Tracer, and the napalm, which was similar to rocket fuel, was attaching to Kit's outer skin. Because what people need to remember is, in the 2008 pilot, Kit has nanobot technology that helps to repair the skin, whereas in the original series, he just basically had an impenetrable compound applied to the car body known as the molecular bonded shell, which meant he was impervious to gunfire, heat, and in some cases extreme weight, whereas the 2008 series, he basically had skin that could heal itself. And it got to a point where, even though it's implied the car was driving at 377 miles per hour, which, heads up, no Mustang, no matter how souped up they are, can drive that fast. So that was straight up bullshit right there.
No.
The only way to keep the body temperature down, you see both Justin Bruning and Deanna Rousseau in character just stripping down to their undergarments, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why this was written, because Deanna Rousseau at that time, how you doing? I've actually spoken to her a couple of times on Facebook. She's she's the good kind of crazy. Like, she's kind of like when Wynn's being dark humor, but it's in a sweet way.
Oh.
Yeah. I happened to say to her one time, because I forget the context of the picture, I said something to the effect of, considering how in good shape you are, I'm surprised you didn't get the part of Wonder Woman instead of Gal Gadot. And she goes, well, that's what a crowbar's for. Which I thought, okay. Like that bit of humour. But, yeah, you look at quite a few of those episodes. The original series of Knight Rider, if there was anything, like, sexual done, it was very subtle and tongue-in-cheek at best. Like, for example, in the season 1 episode, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, there's this rather intrepid reporter that's, kind of hounds Michael for information on this alternative energy race. It's implied that Michael spent the night with her, but it's done off camera. Because again, Knight Rider was very much a family show, but it would never go so far. Whereas with SG, there were a couple of times it pushed the envelope. Like there's one time where Billy and Sarah just sort of barge in on Michael's hotel room, and Michael waking up from a hangover because he and Zoe had tequila the night before. Yeah, she just sits up in bed and says, and I quote, "Last night was epic." I'm like, I mean, the fact that NetSpeak was used was cringy enough in its own merit, but in the first episode when Kit was, pointing out what Billy had done wrong with his equations, you actually hear Zoe say, and I quote, "owned." I'm like, ugh. When you use things like when you use an internet joke or meme on TV, the meme is dead. I hate it when they do stuff like that. And the other thing which raised a few eyebrows, although this is done in silhouette, you actually see a love scene going on between Mike and Sarah in Knight to King's Pawn. For the context, Sarah's still grieving because it's never explained how Charles is killed off in the story. It's only presumed the plane blew up, and she's drowning her sorrows over in Hawaii with going to bars and just drinking excessively. And she's over at her father's beach house, and she gets Mike to spend the night. And like I say, you don't see it full on up front, but it's implied in the silhouette they're bumping uglies. And I'm like, this is a family show, right? But keep in mind, late 2000s, a lot of shows were trying to dial up the edge factor and the sex factor a little bit, whereas now a lot of shows are actually trying to dial everything down.
I think that can be said for a lot of media. But hey.
Well, this is why a lot of people are going over to either Netflix, Prime, Apple TV, or even Hulu in the case of the States, because there's less restrictions. Because Random was actually pointing out to me that if they tried to put Luke Cage on regular TV, he said that there would be so many things cut from that.
Yeah.
Although the thing that floored us, there's just this one scene where this guy's trying to throw this woman off the balcony, and he just then goes, "Bye, Felicia," and we're like, no.
Really? No.
And it's just like, they referenced Friday? But, I did like the fact that they kind of referenced that with O'Shea Jackson Jr. saying that to one of the women that got thrown out of the room, just goes, "Bye, Felicia." Ryder saying, "Exit Light Enter Night was the one episode that made it a 15. Considering what went on in that episode, Ryder, I'm not surprised in the slightest." And that was actually the last episode produced by the series, because it was the well after the aftermath of Night to King's Pawn. But they wanted I Love the Nightlife to be the last episode, even though that was the first one produced after Kit versus Carr round 3, because it was just the way it ended on. But Exit Light Enter Night was what a lot of us like to think of. This is almost like a, closest you would get to a modern adaptation of the original Knight Rider, because it had more of the soul of the original. And Ryder's saying a lot of stuff that's making sense. The cold-blooded killings of the bank hostages, that's what did it. Yeah. That episode, that did go to places. And it's also what started the recurring meme from the original series, where in most episodes, if Michael introduced himself and they tried to do like a background check, they'd say, "Funny thing, nobody's ever heard of you." And in I Love the Nightlife, his name was, ran through the check system, and, nobody had heard of him. Whereas, I think these days it would be very difficult to do something like that extensively, consider how everyone's hot-wired into the internet these days, whether they're aware of it or not. But yeah, I honestly believe, had it gone to a second season, you would have seen more of what they could have potentially gotten out of it. And there was the possibility that one, they would not only have brought Hasselhoff back in, but they would have brought in the original Kit to meet his younger brother. Nick had actually put up on this blog years ago of what would have happened if they had actually brought Michael, Kit, RC3, and April back into the fray. And it would have basically amounted to Kit would have somehow been downloaded into this USB box. They would have gotten a Trans Am to have him put in, but he would have had the nanoskin healing functions, and it would have been revealed that the mystery man at large that wanted the hard drives from Charles Grayman's research would have been Garth Knight. And it would have led to like this major showdown at this compound, to where Michael gets back behind the wheel. He brings out the legendary leather jacket that he wore in the original series, and they did one thing that they never thought of doing, which was actually turbo boosting over Goliath. Anybody that's seen the season 2 episode of Knight Rider, Goliath is just a frickin' monster. You take the impenetrable shell that Kit had, and then you coat it in 10 tons of semi-steel, and you've basically got a monster. Although, funny thing is, when David had to play dual roles in any time Garth Knight was in an episode, his dad would actually call him up after, like, you know, the two-parter had been and gone. It's like, hey son, there's this actor that looks like you on your show. The only difference is he can actually act. I'm like,
Ooh.
Oh, dear God.
Oh my god.
I mean, David saw the funny side of it, but it's just like, yeah, thanks, Dad. Yeah, it, you know, that franchise just, you know, conjures up a lot of memories. Anytime, like I say, I see a kit stand go by, or a kit prime, as I refer to the original, because I figured, well, the Mustang version has a nickname, so the original should have that as well. You can't help but start drooling. The last one I went to, which was 2011, before I went to the 30th anniversary over in the States. If I ever find pics of that, Raiden will probably be like, excuse me guys, I need to go get a towel to put underneath my chin because I'm going to be drooling. Yeah. Oh, and Raiden, at that particular event, they had the 18 van and Ecto 1 there as well.
Nice.
Oh, sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the last one that Ryder, myself, and his wife, that refers to herself online as the Marvel Rose. If you're listening, how you doing? Long time no hear. Now that was just like a fun event. The only problem is, whenever I come away from these events, and it's the exact same thing that happens to me whenever I go off to the Swindon Steam Museum, the next day I wake up with what I can only describe, what I coin as photographer stretch, because a lot of shots I actually get down on one knee just to be able to get the angle that I'm looking for, so I can get like the right profile, or just make the shot look more exciting. I wake up the next day and going up and down stairs is a bit of an issue, because I've stretched that muscle going across the knee and the kneecap. It's not as painful as what happened to me nearly 2 years ago, where I bummed my knee and then bruised my ribs, which I never want to go through that again. That was more than enough torture for 1 week, but the pain was similar. I'm just amazed my knee recovered that quickly. You know, considering any time I've injured my knee before, it's taken longer, whereas this one was done and over with in a few days. But considering, like I say, my ribs were hurting like Lord knows what, probably just masked the pain a little bit. And the funny thing was, I still managed to get down to game, get the 10th anniversary remastered edition of Ghostbusters the video game for the Xbone, and realistically, they didn't really do a lot with that game. If anything, maybe the picture quality was slightly clearer and the sound quality was up, but graphically it didn't look any different from the 360 version. And then I went to go watch Joker, and Oh boy, that hurt if funny moments happen, because I'd be laughing along like, oh, no, can't laugh, that hurts.
Oh my god.
Yeah, especially when I had to get up and walk down the steps just to get out of that particular theatre and then going out the exit, because again, bummed knee, going down steps is just like, I'm going to be glad when I get to an escalator or an elevator, because at least that I can work with. And yet, still managed to get home with Krispy Kremes in tow. Please, like I was going to leave Bristol without a couple of donuts.
Krispy Kreme.
Whenever there's a sale or flash or whatever, you know for a fact you're going after those Krispy Kreme donuts.
But because of the fact I couldn't walk regular pace, I was literally walking probably not even quarter of my usual walking pace. And Ryder can attest to this. I do have a bit of a kick in my step. I think it took me for about 25 to 30 minutes just to walk from Bristol's shopping district just to get down to the railway station. And, you know, because at the time I was looking up on my phone, how do you recover from bruised ribs? And it's just like, just let Mother Nature do it, because it wasn't going to heal that quick. And I made the mistake the day after when I was doing shopping. I thought, oh, I can handle this on my own. I get back home, it's like, you're an idiot. Why didn't you accept the lift when you were offered one? But I was so glad when I got onto like the second vacation, like 3 to 4 weeks down the line, because I could just rest at home. I wasn't having to worry about having to go to work because I was banged up. I was excused from doing like any major physical activity, so I was just left with like just doing the paperwork and what have you. But when I, made it to the second time off in late October, it's like, okay, I can rest up properly now. I can just, sit up in bed for a day or two. But yeah, never want to go through that again. That was nasty. We've overstayed our welcome on this one, I think, because we were trying to keep it down to at least 2 hours, and we're getting close up to 3. So
Yeah.
might as well end it right now, because I am on the brink of passing out.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something, but I think it'll be best if we save it for next week.
No problem, man. Not a problem. Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening, and including the esteemed X24 Rider. Thank you for joining us this evening, sir. It's always a good pleasure to have your company. Yes. We're slowly still getting back into the swing of it, folks, but as I stated last week, I've been going through my own personal problems, but I'm getting it looked at. And until next week, I am the Knight, saying good night from the night, and happy Easter.
Yeah,
And everybody.
And just to say, if you want to help cinemas out, go see Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes.
For real. Check that shit out. It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason they're saying it's saving the cinema industry.
Yeah.
And I've just been corrected by Rider rated 18, no longer the X24 Rider. My bad, dude. My bad. But seriously, folks, have a good Easter. Enjoy your eggs. And if you're like me, enjoy your eggs with coffee mugs, because Easter is always good with coffee.
And you can get mugs from MJ's Teespring page.
That you can indeed.
Also pick up Kaiju's comic.
Mm-hmm. And you can also buy my t-shirt. Everyone loves Oni Rakaku. Sign up, make me president. No!
Oh!
Can I still has my pickup truck?
Nope. Sure, I'll get you a pickup truck. Yeah, he gets a Hot Wheel. That's what he gets.
Can I at least get you a Mustang?
Maybe.
I like how you sort of hesitates there. Fine, I'll go get a Godzilla. Nope!
None of that. No.
Good night, folks.
And everybody.
Good night.
Okay, we're off the air.